Eddie Griffin died early Friday morning when he drove his SUV into a moving train in Houston, Texas. Officials say the vehicle was driven through a railroad crossing barrier before it impacted the train and burst into flames.
What happens when a young kid from the street signs a multi-million-dollar NBA contract but lacks the tools to handle the fame, pressure, and temptation that comes with it? From fentanyl nightmares to career-ending cocaine habits, these are the darkest drug stories the NBA has ever seen. Take a second to subscribe before we jump into the details. Eddie Griffin's demons started long before he set foot on an NBA court. Born in Philadelphia without a strong father figure, he grew up with a void that basketball couldn't fill. Standing 6 feet 10 inches with remarkable shot-blocking ability and a sweet jump shot, Griffin was a physical marvel. But his volatile temperament proved just as remarkable. After getting expelled from high school for fighting a teammate, most players would have lost their college opportunities. Not Griffin. His talent was too immense. At Seton Hall University, Griffin dominated as a freshman, averaging 18 points, 11 rebounds, and an astonishing 4.4 blocks per game. Yet his off-court troubles continued when he punched a teammate during practice, splitting the player's lip open. Despite these red flags, the New Jersey Nets selected Griffin 7th overall in 2001, immediately trading him to the Houston Rockets. His NBA career never lived up to expectations, as drugs and alcohol consumed him, and by 2003, Griffin was arrested for marijuana possession and charged with assault after allegedly punching a woman during a domestic dispute. He missed the entire 2003 to 2004 season, seeking treatment for alcohol addiction. The Minnesota Timberwolves gave Griffin a second chance, pairing him with Kevin Garnett. Former coach Dwayne Casey recalled how evident Griffin's drinking problem was. The team did everything they could to help him. In a bizarre incident, Griffin crashed his car into a parked vehicle outside a convenience store. Witnesses claimed he had been watching adult content on a portable DVD player while driving intoxicated. He begged the other driver not to call police, then wandered into the store to buy more alcohol. On August 17, 2007, the 25-year-old Griffin drove through a railroad warning barrier and collided with an oncoming train. The impact caused a massive explosion, engulfing his vehicle in flames. His body was burned so severely that dental records were needed for identification. His blood alcohol content was 0.26, more than 3 times the legal limit. Eddie Griffin left behind a 3-year-old daughter, now fatherless just as he had been. In February 1987, the Phoenix Suns were struggling with injuries and inconsistency. Center James Edwards, sidelined with an Achilles injury, was spotted at the nightclub Malar Keys with teammates and, curiously, several Milwaukee Bucks players. That night, Edwards rambled to the nightclub manager that an upcoming game against the Bucks would not exceed 226 total points. When the teams played days later, the final score totaled just 222 points. The Arizona Republic broke the story in April 1987, revealing an ongoing investigation. Game tapes and score sheets were seized, with particular focus on that February 21st Bucks-Suns game. Just one day before the regular season ended, law officials announced indictments on 13 individuals involved in a cocaine trafficking conspiracy. 3 active Suns players were implicated: James Edwards, Jay Humphries, and Grant Gondrezic. Investigators identified brothers Wayne and Kim Leisure as the main cocaine suppliers to Suns players. When veteran Walter Davis cooperated with authorities, he named an astonishing 17 current and former teammates who had used drugs. A bartender wired by prosecutors captured a conversation where manager James Jordan admitted to supplying Walter Davis with cocaine and betting on the suspicious Bucks-Suns game. The aftermath was devastating. Key witness Johnny High died in a DUI accident. Sun center Nick Vanos perished in a plane crash. The franchise underwent a complete overhaul before eventually rebuilding around Kevin Johnson and Charles Barkley. If you asked Michael Jordan who inspired him before entering the NBA, the answer might surprise you. The Skywalker, David Thompson. Thompson's North Carolina State team went 31, and his jaw-dropping 45-inch vertical leap in the 1970s left crowds in awe. He and his teammates actually invented the alley-oop to showcase his monumental leaping ability. As the first overall pick in both the ABA and NBA drafts, Thompson chose Denver, where he finished second in MVP voting with nearly 27 points per game. He showcased his scoring prowess by dropping 73 points in a single game without a three-point line. The Nuggets locked him up with a record-breaking contract, $4 million over 5 years, the richest deal in basketball at the time. After an injury sidelined him for half of the 1980 season, Thompson found a dangerous new hobby during recovery. Cocaine became his escape from loneliness and pressure. By 1982, his production dropped to just 15 points per game. At 27, in what should have been his prime, he was moved to the bench. The more he used cocaine, the worse he played. The worse he played, the more he used. After being traded to Seattle, Thompson's decline continued. His career ended abruptly when, during a fight at a New York nightclub, he fell downstairs and suffered a catastrophic knee injury. At his lowest point, Thompson was spending $1,000 daily on cocaine, leading to bankruptcy in 1986. In 1987, he served 180 days in jail for assaulting his wife. The rock-bottom moment came when, sitting in his jail cell, he watched a TV tribute to Dr. J's retirement. When Julius Erving named Thompson as the first among the best players he'd ever faced, reality finally clicked. Remarkably, Thompson found redemption. Returning to his Christian faith in jail, he has remained sober with a healthy family life to this day. Richard Dumas had perhaps the most tragic origin story of any NBA addict. His struggle with substance abuse began at just 5 years old when his father, unable to handle a hyperactive child with ADHD, gave him beer to calm him down. By age 13, Dumas had graduated to cigarettes, marijuana, hard liquor, and painkillers. Most kids were just starting to experiment with small vices, but Dumas was already dependent on substances just to function. Despite his addictions, Dumas became a high school star in Oklahoma, winning 4 state championships and averaging over 20 points per game. At Oklahoma State University, Dumas took a single hit from a joint laced with crack cocaine. That moment altered his life trajectory forever, as crack became his drug of choice. After being dismissed from college, Dumas played in Israel, where the cultural shock and distance from his usual environment helped him get clean enough to average 21 points and 8 rebounds while shooting 59% from the field. The Phoenix Suns gambled on him with the 46th pick in the 1991 draft, but before playing a single NBA game, he tested positive for cocaine and was suspended for the entire 1991 to 1992 season. After treatment in John Lucas's rehab program, Dumas finally suited up for the Suns in 1993, averaging 16 points and 5 rebounds while helping Phoenix reach the NBA Finals against Michael Jordan's Bulls. His redemption was short-lived. During an off-season autograph signing in Hawaii, Dumas accepted a hit of crack that spiraled into a full relapse. By the end of the trip, he was driving to the other side of the island to help cook up more drugs, a team official recalled. When the NBA cracked down on his drinking, preventing his pre-game six-pack ritual, his performance collapsed. By 26, his NBA career was over, replaced by a series of arrests and legal troubles. With Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, the Houston Rockets had assembled one of the most formidable front courts in NBA history. Their backcourt of Lloyd and Mitchell Wiggins provided the perfect complement, Lloyd averaging 17 points per game with silky smooth scoring, Wiggins adding 11 points with fierce defense. Fresh off a 1986 Finals appearance, Houston seemed poised for a dynasty. Off the court, Lloyd and Wiggins were inseparable, frequenting Houston's booming nightlife scene. 32 games into the 1987 season, their world collapsed. After a night out, the duo accepted cocaine from a stranger who claimed to have the best product in the city. The next morning, the NBA received an anonymous tip. Both players failed drug tests, testing positive for cocaine. Commissioner David Stern, determined to clean up the NBA's image after the Len Bias tragedy, made an example of them with lifetime bans, despite it being their first offense. The fallout was catastrophic. Houston's championship window slammed shut. Ralph Sampson's body began breaking down, and Hakeem was left to carry the franchise alone. Wiggins fought for reinstatement and eventually returned for a few unremarkable seasons. Lloyd drifted away from basketball entirely, his promising career reduced to ashes. In hindsight, Lloyd and Wiggins weren't just victims of their own mistakes, they were casualties of the NBA's cocaine era, a dark chapter that claimed countless careers before the league finally cleaned up its act.
I think we put so much focus on the worst day and we forget the first day. You know, it's always talking about how many people are dying, how many overdoses, and what they look like at the end of their drug use. We need to start connecting the first day, the beginning, where it begins, because that's where kids can identify.